is going on, everybody? It is your boy Arrows here, and we are here with version 2. Still not quite completed, but getting a little bit closer to being completed of our Sapphire, not Sapphire, haha, Amethyst Steel Tempo Lore Gain deck. I'm really excited to show you guys this. I'm almost at the point where I'm ready to start going on, maybe streaming some Lorcana on Twitch with Pixelborn. But so we had our locals yesterday. It was 8-person locals. I went 2-1. First game was kind of a meh. I drew into, so my first round was a steel amethyst mirror match. But definitely his deck played more on the evasive side. And so this isn't the version of the deck that I started with on Tuesday, but it is like what we're ending off with. So I didn't have really anything to deal with evasive characters outside of my damaging cards, and like when it's the genie that has four toughness and the Tinkerbell that has 3 toughness, it's a little hard to get them off the field. So he was able with our current build. I have Elsa's in here now, so we're going to be able to rush them down a lot better than we were able to before. Alpha's the 5th spirit. I have some coming in the mail, but I picked some up at my local card shop just to have them in there, because I might actually boost up to like 3 or 4. We're going to see when everything shows up what I like and what I don't like. But round 1, we lost 2-0. Same thing. What are they called? The evasives piled up. The Donald Duck Fledgling Sorcerer played a lot of play. Game 2, it was looking like I was going to be able to push to a game 3. He had no cards in his hand. I had just started to take over. I had my own slightly damaged Fledgling Sorcerer on the field, but then he drew into a Grab Your Swords, which KO'd my Sorcerer, which won him the game because he was at like, he only had to quest for like 2 under the 20, but I would have won the game had he not top decked the Grab Your Swords. That's card games. It happens. Game 2, we played against a steel emerald kind of like beatdown deck. I ran the new Pirate Pete. It ran the Hidden Coves. It ran the John Silver that prevents things from challenging. It ran the Lyle Tiberius Rourke, which gives something reckless so you can't quest. Really fun deck. I had a really good game. Lost the first game. I kept drawing into stuff that I couldn't use that isn't supposed to be in the final version of this deck, but obviously we wanted to have it in there, kind of keep like the same tempo with what the final version is going to be, like stuff like Fortispheres when I needed the body on board to, quest for some game-winning lore, so on and so forth. Game 2 was pretty close. Deck finally popped off. I was able to play multiple Cobras, gain multiple lore. Goats were going off and leaving the field really quickly. We were able to come up and we won that one pretty convincingly. Game 3 was pretty much was nice and back and forth. I had made a play. My opponent misread a situation, and I got really lucky. I still probably would have won the next game. I had enough lore on board, and I had a whole new worlded into a goat. I would have been able to play it and win the game on my next turn anyway. The game ended. I quested with Cobra, Smee, and Pete, and then I bodyguarded Cobra so I could leave Smee alive. I had a goat in hand from the whole new world. We won on the next turn. He didn't have enough lore to win, but if he had taken out my Smee, we would have been in a little bit of trouble. So we bodyguarded the Cobra. But he misread the situation and just quested to put himself to 19, and then we drew, we draw, and we quested to win for game 3. Game 3, I played against my friend Andrew with his very unique itemized version of Ruby Steel Challenge. He runs he runs the training weights. He runs the Shield of Virtue. I can't remember what the card is called that lets you play your next character for cheaper if you've challenged, but he played the whole shebang. First game, I was able to drop our newest addition to this deck, the new Gontu from set 7 really early, and I was able to put him kind of like able to hurt him from being able to drop all of his like really good items to like really take control of the game. So we were able to play pretty convincingly, pretty easily through that one. Game 2, he got everything going. Plate armors were giving things like, at one point, his Calhouns had like resist 4. We're not getting through that, so we lost. Game 3, we traded back and forth. It was a much slower pace game. Game 3, I'm really gonna remember to bring my stuff next week to record. It was a much slower game 3 pace. We were just kind of like playing very, very cautiously. He didn't want to quest with Calhouns too much because he didn't want me to take them out. I didn't want to quest with my stuff as often as I could because he would have taken them out and jumped ahead in the lore race. I ended up winning. We were close. He was at like 18, 17, 18, and I was at like 19, 18, 19. And I was able to play my own Donald Duck Fledgling Sorcerer. I had drawn it super early and opted not to discard it with my Cobras, discarding other stuff instead, so I could play it. He wasn't able to quest for all of his lore, and then on my next turn, I quested with the Duck to win the game. So we're going to get into the deck profile, show you guys what we're playing, and yeah, this is version 2. We still have other stuff coming for version 2. I'm actually going to tell you what some of the replacements are as we go through. So we're going to get into the deck. We have our usual 4 copies of Chernobog's Followers, 1 drop, 2/1, quest for 1. When a quest, you get to draw a card. This came in so handy against my games with Andrew because I was questing with stuff that was leaving the board. He wasn't able to like challenge it early and gain all that early lore. Same thing with this card. 3 copies still of our Magic Broom. Same thing. We request with it. We drop something else. It would get banished and we get to draw a card. Nothing he could challenge. Brooms in general, card draw is just fantastic. Still running our 2 copies of Captain Hook. He is going to be leaving the deck in favor of 2 Diablo Ravens, and I have something else that's going to come too. I like Hook. He's a good early challenger, but he's just not really what I want in the final form of the deck. Going into our 2 drops, we have 3 copies of Smee. Smee is Smee. He's so good. Like at some points, you don't really care about if you drop him early enough. Your opponent can't really deal with him on their turn. You're going to get 4 lore out of him, and it doesn't matter if he takes damage. Actually, funny thing that we realized in my game with Andrew is that Gontu, the super rare from set 7, is a captain. So if you've Gontu on the field and Smee on the field, he doesn't take any damage, which is 3 copies of Madam Mim Snake. This card does what it needs to do. It's a cheap way to bounce cards, cheap way to get effects going off. Just really good. 2 copies of Madam Mim Tiny Adversary. Now we were running this over the crabs. I feel like I'm gonna put the crabs back in. She was neat, but Challenger 1 doesn't really help a lot, and especially now that I have the Elsa the 5th Spirits in this deck, I just don't think that playing her over Crab is a better option. A lot of people in my local said that they liked her over Crab. They don't like either or. I like Crab, so we're definitely going to be putting Crab back in for the future videos. Going into my 3 drops, we got 3 copies of Giant Cobra, 4 copies of Giant Cobra. Sorry, this card, oh my god, is so good. It's a 4/4 body, which is fantastic. It's a 4/4 body that you're pretty much going to get to do whatever you want with because of the vanish ability. A lot of people won't target it with their targeted actions, so they'll go after other things. Well, okay, well, those other things might not be able to KO something on your side of the field, but now my Giant Cobra is because it's 4/4, and its effect is fantastic. Discard an uninkable, discard a card you can't really use right now, and gain 2 lore. We love it. Dropping down from the original build to 3 copies of Pete instead of 4. I think 4 is a bit of overkill. 3 seems like a really good number. 1 and 2 seems like if I have to ink them, I could be at a disadvantage against Steel Songs, other decks that are action heavy. But I feel like 3 is just a really good number. Rounding out our 3 drops, we got 3 copies of Madam Mim Fox. What can I say about Fox? Really good card. I actually put Thebes in this deck over Queen's Castle for cute little interactions with Fox. Even if Fox dies, I still get 2 lore off of that. And I feel in testing with my friends, I felt like Queen's Castle, depending on when you drop it in the game, isn't always going to give me that 2 lore. It could get taken out right away. But Thieves, if I play it, it's a cheap play, cheap move. I'm going to get some lore out of it right away. But in the end, Thieves is also going to be leaving for 2 copies of the library, a gift for Bell. So we'll see. We'll see what the final deck ends up looking like. I have all these crazy ideas now, so we're going to try really hard to make them work. Getting to my 4 drops, we got 4 copies of Goat. When you play it, gain a lore. When it leaves the field, gain a lore. Fantastic. It's a 4/3, so you can run it into stuff and it'll leave the field, take something out with it, and you'll gain lore if you really want to. That's what I was doing a lot on Tuesday, so that's fantastic. 3 copies of Rabbit. We love Rabbit. Draw a card. When it leaves, draw another card. I might swap these out for Genies. Genies are evasive. Genies quest for more. I feel like in the end game when we get more out of them. So Rabbits might be going for Genies. I might keep 1 Rabbit in there just for like the bounce to extra card draw on my terms, but we'll see how it goes. This is probably leaving, unfortunately, in actual testing and one-on-one games. I find I was inking it more than anything else. So we'll probably take it out. We might actually take out, we might go 2-2, take out 1 rabbit and this for 2 genies, have 2 genies, 2 rabbits. The all-star of my game 3, gone to. This card is stupidly good. Stupidly good. It's a 4-drop, 2/4, quest for 1. When you play it, your opponent can't exert characters for songs on the next turn, and then all players, yourself included, so you got to be careful, pay 2 more to play items or actions. This card is going to see a lot of play. I actually kind of want to put another one in, but I don't really know where I would take it out. If you guys have any ideas, let me know. Getting into our 5s with just 2 copies of Elsa the Fifth Spirit. I had the steel. I had the dual color Jafar in here. Me and another player were talking about it with like being able to bounce the Cobras back. But honestly, it just wasn't working. I ended up inking the Jafars more than anything else. So I really like this Elsa. 2/5, quest for 1. Exerts something when it comes into play. Has rush and evasive. Playing it with like a crab, giving it a power up off a crab is just fantastic. Doing something else, we got plays. We got plays. I might keep one of the tiny adversary madams in here. I think that could also work really good with this. So, but we're getting into that. And then rounding out our characters, 1 copy of Donald Duck, Fledgling Sorcerer, as I like to call him, the Duck Magician, because he just gives me Dark Magician vibes. This card saved my life in game 3 of my round 3. It was doing work in my game 2 of round 1, but then lucky draw, top deck, grab your sword, kind of put an end to it. Really good card. 5/6, quest for 3, 7-drop. Your opponent goes up to 25 lore. 25, 2,500. Tell me this is not the Disney version of the Dark Magician. I dare you. Getting into our actions, items, and locations. We got 2 copies of This Is My Family. This card actually got me really close a couple games and actually gave me a game in round 2. I played it late. Really good card. It's a 2-drop, so it enables my 2 cost cards like Snake and the new Meta Mim. I actually sang with her to get this, to get a game. Really good to get close to a game. Really good card. But only 2. You don't need more than 2. It does what it needs to do. It's just a cheap song. Get you in lore when you could be in a bit of trouble. Going to our 3 drops, we have 3 copies of Friends on the other side. What can we say about Friends? It's good to have friends. Draw 2 cards. We like it. 3 copies of the Storm. Let the Storm Rage On. Now, ideally, these should be extra copies of Strength of Raging Fire, and then Along Came Zeus, but I can't find them. Strength of Raging Fire is currently sitting at $30. So we might just have to resort to, seeing if we can find some packs of set 2 to try to pick them up. But I like it. Still does stuff. Does 2 damage to something for 3. It lets us draw a card. We can sing with our Pete. We can sing with our Fox. We can sing with our Cobra, which I did a lot with this yesterday because it has 4. So it's more than likely going to survive getting challenged on my opponent's next turn, unless they're playing the challenge deck. So singing this with Cobra was a really good play that I really enjoyed. 2 copies of Strength of Raging Fire. I don't actually think I used this yesterday. There was just no situations that really came up. Oh no, I took out a couple of evasivers in round 1 with it. So, but it's a good card. We play a lot of cheap costs, especially in the final build of this, which is going to have Diablo Ravens in it as well, and 1 more Magic Broom. So we're going to have like 8 1-drops. So we got plays. 2 copies of And Then Along Came Zeus. This I actually want to get a 3rd one for. It's very hard to find. Deals 5 damage to anything, which could be like really good setup to taking out opponents' Duck Magicians and other problem cards. We love Along Came Zeus. I actually want another one. Teching in in the 4-drop song spot as well. We're teching in 1 copy of I Find Them, I Flatten Them. Items are going to be a thing. And I know other people are playing Benjas because they quest. People are playing Billy Bones. I might actually tech a Billy Bones. We have one coming. People are teching on the Shifter Aladdin from set 4? Yeah, 4. I find them, I'll flatten them. It gets rid of all of them. Gets rid of all your item problems, puts them in the graveyard. Yeah, Tamatoa will be able to like rework them. But honestly, if you can put them a little bit further back on how many items they have on the field, it's not bad. I like it. It hasn't come up in play testing yet. When I drew it in game 3, it was already too late. I needed the ink for something else. I needed something else. I needed other inkables in my hand for more, so we ended up inking it. But I'm really excited to see what it can do. 2 copies of Grab Your Sword. We dropped it down to 2 for the I find them, I'll flatten them. Grab Your Sword is still good, but it's not the offensive powerhouse it used to be. Still 2 across the board is still really good, but it's just not the game winner that it used to be. 2 copies of A Whole New World. I don't honestly know if these are going to stay. I might keep one of them. It did come in handy in my game 3 of round 2. Excuse me. But as a whole, we have a lot of draw options. I don't really know in a lot of ways to gain lore. I don't really know if it's going to be in the final build. Yeah, running 4 copies of Fortisphere. These are supposed to be 2 more Obedient Ravens and 2 Gathering of Knowledge and Power, of Knowledge and Wisdom. Gathering Knowledge and Wisdom. I can't remember the cost. I think it's like a 2 cost. It might be a 5 cost. Like, it gives you 2 lore. I like they came in handy, but as an overarching thing, they were more hindrance than they were help. And rounding out, we have 2 copies of Thebes. I actually really enjoyed this over Queen's Castle. Like I said, depending on when you drop your location, if you're playing them, it might not last for very long because there are a ton of heavy hitters that can take these out really quickly. So I found even when I was testing the 3-player game, my castles weren't staying out for very long. They weren't really netting me anything. This, you can drop it for 2. Our final build is going to have Calhouns in it and crabs again. So we're going to be able to take some solid lore because of this card. Now, I do have gifts for the libraries, gifts for Bell coming. Binks, I'm here. So we might go with that. Instead, I might keep Thebes. I'm not entirely 100% sure. I feel like this deck has like a lot of room where you can like go various different strategies for it. So I'm really excited to test it out, and hopefully you guys are excited to see it. Like I said, all my cards should be here by like next week. So we're going to be doing more Lorcana streams. I'm really excited for it. Hopefully you guys will be too. But anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe. Ding the notification bell if you want to get alerted to any of our content that we have coming out. I am a little bit behind this week. I took a day off on Tuesday for myself. So some of the videos we had advertised probably won't be out until next week. But I'm still really excited to record them. Still really excited to share my love of card games with you. If you head over to the Arrows Gaming main YouTube channel, our newest episode of Final Fantasy VIII just went up. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. And yeah, stay safe out there, my friends. Have a good day. Bye.